Waouh, Zinédine Zidane. L'utilisation du ballon, la facilité. C'est un artiste, un danseur de musique classique.
He was supposed to be that guy. He was supposed to be the best of his generation. He was supposed to be that player. And he became it.
When people say he's one of the greatest to ever play the game, they don't say it lightly. So how good was Zinédine Zidane? Before the trophies, before the Galacticos, before the world stopped to watch him glide across a pitch, there was a French-Algerian kid in the south of France. Zinédine was born on June 23rd, 1972 in La Castellane, a housing estate in Marseille to Algerian immigrants. His professional journey began at Cannes, then came Bordeaux. At 22 years old, Zidane was awarded France's best hope, the nation's most promising young player, a player still discovering the scale of his own gift, but the talent, that was unmistakable. His next move, Juventus, Italy, and in Bordeaux, a nickname had already begun to echo through the stadiums and streets alike. Zizou was born.
Find the back of the net. Brilliant ball through, and what a finish to follow.
At that time, the old lady had already reached the 1996 Champions League final and were looking to cement their status as a dominant force in Europe. At Juve, Zidane became a superstar. They dominated Italy. Serie A titles arrived. 2. The UEFA Super Cup arrived in 1997. It wasn't a Zidane headline match. It was a scene about the environment he stepped into at Juventus, a winning machine. And in Turin, they began to understand what they had signed. But Europe gave him heartbreak. Before the triumphs, there was frustration. Before he became football's symbol of grace under pressure, he had to experience the opposite. Juventus reached the summit twice with Zidane. Twice they walked away empty, defeated by Borussia Dortmund and then Real Madrid. For Zidane, Europe's greatest prize kept slipping just beyond reach, but football has a strange sense of timing. One day, the same elusive trophy and the same club that denied him would become part of his legend. Because everyone could see it, the making of a galactic baller was happening. 1998 was the year of Zinédine Zidane, a tournament that would change everything. France were under immense pressure to win the 1998 World Cup. They hadn't even qualified for the previous 2 tournaments. Now, the world was watching, and the tournament was on home soil. This was the moment Zidane truly announced himself to the footballing world.
À chaque fois qu'il venait à l'entraînement, il rehaussait, dans le cadre de l'équipe de France, il rehaussait la qualité technique de tout le monde, parce qu'à le regarder toucher le ballon, c'était comme de la magie. Et c'est vrai que c'est un joueur unique que vous devez observer et vous en inspirer.
The final, France versus Brazil, 4-time world champions, defending champions. Before kickoff, the spotlight belonged to R9. By the final whistle, it belonged to Zizou. Because when France needed him, Zidane rose. Once, twice, 2 towering headers, 3-0. World champions. The boy who had learned football on the streets of Marseille, in a housing project far from the grand stadiums of Europe, had just scored twice in a World Cup final. Across Paris, the celebrations erupted. Messages were projected onto the Arc de Triomphe. Merci Zizou. Zidane, président. In a single night, he became the nation's darling, France's footballing boy ideal. Later, Zidane reflected, "In my life, nothing is going to be impossible anymore." At the time, it sounded like pure emotion. Years later, it felt like a prophecy. That same year, Zidane won the Ballon d'Or. So, if 1998 crowned Zinédine Zidane a champion, Euro 2000 revealed something even rarer: supremacy.
A lovely first touch.
What a finish! Breathtaking!
Across the stadiums of Belgium and the Netherlands, Zidane conducted the tournament. The tempo rose and fell at his command, every touch deliberate, every turn decisive, every pass perfectly weighted. Opponents were chasing shadows, and like all great artists, he had a signature. A signature not claiming to be his, but he made it his, the roulette. Take that Portugal game. In one motion, Zidane takes a touch, running back, spinning 360 degrees, and then he's gone. The defender's still trying to figure out what on earth has just happened. You watch it back now and it hits different. At 6'1", Zizou had no right to move like this, to be this nimble. 2 years after 1998, France were champions again. Zidane, player of the tournament. We'd seen it before. This was just him doing it again, on his terms. And Real Madrid knew it. When President Florentino Perez met him at a restaurant, all that was needed was a note on a napkin that read, "Do you want to come and play at Madrid?" So then came the transfer that shook football. In 2001, Real Madrid paid a world record €77.5 million for a 29-year-old Zidane. To give you an idea of how crazy that is, in today's football market, that fee would likely push €200 million. Paying that for a player approaching 30, almost unheard of then, and still rare now. Zidane became the second pillar of what would be known as the Galacticos, a philosophy as much as a team. This was football reimagined as a constellation. David Beckham, Luis Figo, Ronaldo, Raul, Michael Owen, names that carried weight on their own, now orbiting the same shirt. And yet, even among stars, Zidane often felt like gravity itself. Every move led back to him. Madrid's run to the 2002 Champions League final carried resistance at every step, and Zidane met it with moments. A goal against Sparta Prague, an assist against Panathinaikos. Early contributions quietly placed, but already shaping the path forward. Then the semi-final shifted everything into focus. Barcelona, El Clasico. This is where Zizou was beginning to imprint himself on Europe once again. Away at the Nou Camp, in the second half, Zidane lifts it. At this point you stop asking how, you just remind yourself who. Back at the Bernabeu, the tie needs sealing. Zidane obliges. Now this pass for Raul, perfectly weighted. I mean, if Raul doesn't get the ball, he probably doesn't score. So in a way, that might be his best assist. When I saw it, I was like, surely it's gonna be a great assist. I just see it and Raul just smashes it in. But if you needed a single moment to justify the cost, no, to transcend it, you would find it on a night in Glasgow in the final. Roberto Carlos crosses it high into the air. The ball falls from the sky, suspended for a heartbeat. Left foot, the sweetest of connections. Roberto Carlos would laugh about it years later.
Meu passe foi melhor que o gol. Primeiro passe de Solari, que foi passe terrível. Logo o meu centro, que foi horrível. E logo o Zizou finalizando com esse golaço.
Everything about the move was off. Solari's pass to him, his cross, until it reached Zidane. Technique, balance, audacity, perfectly aligned in the most unforgiving moment. How many players even attempt that? How many could execute it? It remains one of the purest goals the competition has ever known. Real Madrid lifted their 9th European Cup, and Zidane had delivered the moment. He didn't need to prove anything anymore. He just existed within the game differently. Teammates felt it immediately. There was even a quiet truth around the Bernabeu, that people would come not just to see goals or wins, but to watch Zidane's first touch. Just that. Ronaldo said it simply. Even among superstars, Zidane was the one you watched because he removed the effort from brilliance. The Galactico idea grew louder, bigger, heavier. More stars arrived, more attention followed, but something essential slipped away. Real Madrid still found success. winning La Liga in 2003 with Zidane at the core, producing another masterclass of a season. But balance is quieter than brilliance. When Claude Makélélé left that same year, Zidane saw it immediately. His words lingered. Why add another layer of gold paint to the Bentley when you're losing the engine? And in the years that followed, the team sparkled but flickered. Beautiful but unstable. Zidane, though, remained untouched. There were still nights at the Bernabeu where he would toy with the opposition. Against Marseille in the Champions League 03-04, Zidane teed up Ronaldo, but only after his trademark run. And then, quietly, it came to an end. His final night at the Bernabeu, shirts held aloft, the number 5 everywhere. A stadium not celebrating a player, but acknowledging something it had been lucky enough to witness. Before the 2006 World Cup, Zidane came out of international retirement. France needed him one final time. And you understood why. He was everywhere again, dictating, gliding, deciding. Opposition players were screaming, "My God, why did he return?" Against Brazil in the quarterfinals, he produced one of the greatest midfield performances in World Cup history. I cannot tell you how much everyone was in admiration of him. Never would I have thought I would see the day where someone is teaching Brazilians how to skill. Ronaldinho, Kaká and Ronaldo were playing in this game, by the way. It was a one-man show. In the final against Italy, he scored one of the most audacious penalties ever, against Buffon, already one of the greatest goalkeepers the game has ever seen. In a World Cup final, Zidane does a Panenka. The ball kissed the underside of the bar before dropping over the line, as if even gravity had to pause and admire it. Zidane barely reacted. He knew. The aura farming was insane. Let me tell you something. No one is ever attempting what he did. How can they? Only Zidane. But football, as it so often does, demanded its balance. Extra time, a flash of anger, a moment that would echo forever. The red card, the headbutt. And then, one of the most haunting images the game has ever given us. Zidane walking past the World Cup trophy, not as its winner, but as its ghost. No glance, no second look, just silence and the weight of everything he was leaving behind. A career that deserved a perfect ending instead closed on something painfully human. And yet even that wasn't the end, because some figures don't just shape the game on the pitch, they return to redefine it from the touchline. Because at Real Madrid, Zidane would step into a different kind of spotlight and somehow, impossibly, do what no one else ever has. He didn't arrive with experience, no long managerial resume, no years on the touchline, just a club legend stepping into the biggest job in football. On his first morning at the Alfredo Di Stefano Stadium, 5,000 fans filled the stands. They didn't come to watch training. They came for him. Inside the dressing room, he went player to player, shaking every hand. No speeches, no theatrics, just presence. Because this wasn't a manager trying to earn respect. This was Zinédine Zidane, and the room knew it. In his debut season as manager in 2016, he wins the Champions League. Penalty shootout versus local rivals Atleti, and a rematch for the 2014 final that Zidane was assistant to. Ronaldo scores the winning penalty. 2017, the run becomes a statement. Bayern beaten, with Ronaldo making UCL history.
And Ronaldo gets a vital goal again. And Ronaldo able to get it down and punish Bayern. And the 100 in the Champions League to Cristiano Ronaldo.
The first player to ever hit 100 UCL goals. The final, Juve's second half, control, authority. Feels like I'm describing Zidane. 3 goals, 4-1, back-to-back champions. The first team to ever do this, by the way. (2018), not just a run, a gauntlet. Champions faced at every turn. Paris, Juve.
What can he do with the ball? He puts it into Ronaldo!
Bayern.
Marcelo, it's a lovely cross. Benzema!
And in the final, 5-time UCL champions Liverpool.
Bam. Oh, he's gone for it.
And still, Real Madrid stood above them all. And in that 2018 run, it gave us moments. 2 of them.
Carvajal, Ronaldo! Absolutely incredible!
2 overhead kicks, 2 masterpieces, moments that sit alongside Zidane's volley in 2002. History repeating itself in a different form. 3 consecutive Champions League titles. From 2016 to 2018, Real completely dominated Europe. A dynasty. History. Zidane became one of only 3 managers with 3 European Cup Champions League titles on their CV, alongside Bob Paisley and Carlo Ancelotti. But neither of them won 3 in a row. Even in management, Zidane achieved what once seemed impossible, just like he said in 1998.
A leader, and as you can see, a good coach too, because, you know, winning the Champions League, the amount of time he did it as a coach in a row. Again, you know, when you're touched by what's happening upstairs, he's one of those guys.
After all the titles he won, Zidane bowed out, but on his own terms. Zidane wasn't the fastest, wasn't the strongest, but perhaps the most elegant. When the ball reached his feet, everything made sense. He didn't play football at speed, he played it at his speed. Slower, calmer, smarter. While others forced it, he understood it. The game didn't need to be loud around him. He played like someone who already knew the ending. A pass played, not to where you were, but where you were about to understand you needed to be. Because you can talk about numbers, trophies, highlights, but that's not really how you measure Zidane. You measure him in moments, a touch that makes no sense, a turn you have to rewind, a goal that doesn't feel real. The kind of moments where you don't even celebrate properly. You just look around like, did you see that? Yeah, I did. That was Zidane. They even made a film once, just watching him. Every touch, every movement, one game, 17 cameras, all following him, like the game itself couldn't look away. Most legends announce themselves early, teenage prodigies, chosen from the start. Zidane wasn't that. He rose later. Long before the world fully understood him, the game had already chosen him. He was one of the few who made football feel different. And maybe that's the best way to describe him. The one who made the game stop. And for me, the kid I once was, seeing someone who shared my Algerian roots rise like that, it made me proud. Merci, Zizou.